Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of Are You the Asshole? A podcast where we'll be focusing on some very nitty-gritty dilemmas that everyone faces in everyday life. Some confrontations that you may have had where you're not quite sure who the bad guy really is. The focus of this podcast is going to be around the Reddit Are You the Asshole? And here there are some absolutely amazing posts which really split opinion and really do raise some very, very interesting and difficult moral and ethical questions. But before further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Rav, and together with my co-host Ginge, aka Shannon, who I'll just introduce in a second, we will be hosting this podcast, and together we're going to be discussing these posts so you guys can hopefully enjoy. Anyway, Ginge, you want to take it away?
Hi, my name is Ginge, or Shan, or, Scared of Ginge, whatever you want to call me. I'm super excited for this. I am in love with this subreddit. And so I think between the both of us, we are going to bring some life to these posts. And I hope that everybody really enjoys it.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, down the line, this can become something bigger. And I always love a good moral debate because, and I also think we're mature enough to see things from both sides, whereas some people might be a bit biased. I think the structure of this podcast is going to be that every week, one of us will present posts to the other person. So we'll pick a post or pick a few posts, and the other person would not be aware of it before the show. We will go through it and see the live reactions and kind of dissect the post live. So this week, Shan has taken the reins, and she has chosen a few posts. Next week will be my turn, and hopefully down the line we'll have some guests, etc. So I hope you're looking forward to that.
So I guess I'll give you guys a rundown of what the subreddit actually is. First of all, if you don't know what Reddit is just a huge kind of platform for communities to come together and talk about either their favorite things, make fun of things. If you play RuneScape, I'm sure you know exactly what that's about, and all that kind of stuff. But the subreddit that we've chosen is Am I the Asshole? And it's essentially people put up posts and they're asking if the decision that they made in whatever situation, does that make them the asshole or are they right? And there's different kind of things. You'll see people say that, yes, you are the asshole. No, you're not. And then there's like equally the asshole, and everyone sucks here and all that kind of stuff. So some of them aren't so straightforward where you think they would be. And I think that's what kind of makes this subreddit kind of fun, because you start reading it and you're like, oh, you're definitely the asshole. And then all of a sudden something changes really quick and it's like, oh, wait, So I think this is going to be fun.
Sure, that's the whole interesting part. I think the gray area between like the black and white, when someone is clearly the arsehole, sometimes then clearly not the arsehole, the gray area is always like the most fun part to kind of explore. For those of you that know who, I presume a lot of you know, the writer of Game of Thrones, he says very clearly like the only thing worth exploring is the gray in humans, basically, because nobody's black and white. As people like to portray themselves as perfect, etc. No one's like that, but no one's truly evil as well. The kind of gray area is always the fun part to kind of explore. So that's what we're hoping to achieve, and hopefully we'll get some interesting debates going.
For sure. All right. So shall I read you the one that I picked for today?
Go for it. The first post of the first episode.
Hopefully it does good. All right, so this post was actually posted about 10 months ago by user dadjoke, AYTA, Am I the Asshole? And it's, am I the asshole for making a dad joke? No, my stepdaughter, Madeline, was about a year old when I was married to her mother, Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad. I don't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it and that she'd probably change. I just replied, "I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years, and as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules." That happened about 2 days ago. So our family was going grocery shopping when Madeline said, "I'm hungry, I need food." I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, "Hi, hungry, I'm not your dad." My son just started to laugh uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment, and my wife was berating me not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke, and my son agrees, so am I the asshole? Edit, I did adopt her, so legally I am her parent. Mini update, I'll probably give a full update later, he never did, But here is what happened so far. I go to my daughter's room after dinner and begin talking with her. Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you by the words I said. And I am really your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college. And plus, I'm legally your dad, so we're stuck together. But seriously, I'm going to love you like my daughter. Even if you don't think I'm your dad. Then I hugged her. She did start to cry. I assume that's good.
Ooh.
So is he the asshole in that one?
I would say yes. Like
Yeah.
I mean, they're both assholes in my opinion. Like, but then again, teenage angst is so common, right? So
It really is, yeah. I think everybody kind of gets to that point in their teenage years. Your hormones are going, and especially, I mean, if you've lost a parent and stuff like that, and then you have somebody else coming in telling you what to do, last thing you want to do is listen to them. So,
yeah, it's such a complicated scenario. I have a stepdad, and when he first came into my life, I've never ever said the words "he's not my father" to him, because I think that might be a bit far down the line. But Madeline, in her case, was only 1 year old when her father came into her life, so that's all she knew. Whereas for me, I was in my 20s, like early 20s, when my mother remarried, so it's very different. So maybe I can't give a direct comparison, but that's all she knew, right? That's all she knew. So he's been there her whole
yeah.
life.
And so it's like, okay, so yes, he's not your biological father, but in essence, he is your father, like he is the one that raised you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like she says, "You're not my dad. I don't have to follow you." That is just, I don't know, that's a really spiteful thing to say. Like
Exactly.
that's meant to hurt the other person. That's not like something that you say. That's not something you say without thinking about it. I think maybe she says, okay, like, if he pisses me off, I have something that would really hurt him one day. So yeah.
And then like the whole thing, and I get the dad joke, that he did, and I get what he said, but if you're coming from what she just said to you the other day and then you're going to do that, like part of me is like, he definitely said that as a jab to her, like to get some sort of rise out of her. And then when he finally got it out of her, he instantly felt horrible about it, I would say. But it's like, I feel like as a parent, and I have a kid, so it's like you have to be really kind of like, you have to be thoughtful with the things you put out there, because one, children of any age are very smart and they will latch on to the things that you say, And I assume with her, she's 15 years old, so it's like she's definitely going through those like times, where you start to get like very emotional and everything. So I'm sure she definitely felt that like deep to her core. And maybe it jarred her a little bit, but I don't think that was right of him to say.
So my opinion on that is that he said it to remind her that she said it earlier. You know what I mean? So like, he said it to her to make her realize that you said this to me before, and this is not something I can forget straight away. This is something which is going to stick with me, and I'm bringing it up even later than this happened, because I still remember it. It's fresh in my memory, and because it's hurting me, and maybe he's putting a smile on his face to do that. And like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't to embarrass her. You know what? Let's add a third asshole to this. His son is a fucking asshole. He started to laugh uncontrollably. Wow.
Oh my God, right?
That's so rude.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, and then something I wouldn't agree with is that they're all in the car, right? And then the wife starts berating him, the father, in front of everybody about how he is like instigating it and stuff like that. And it's like, I feel like you shouldn't be doing that in front of the kids, because, something you want to do to, show your children is that you're kind of like, equally in on this and everything like that, So he's obviously joking and having fun. And then she's like yelling at him for doing it. And so obviously now, if anybody with children or nieces and nephews or whatever, it's like the second you go back on something that you've said, or somebody like, your mother or your aunt or whatever kind of takes a side, it's like, ooh, okay, now I'm in good with her, so I can maybe, take advantage of that or something,
Right. So my opinion on that is that I agree, like, the parents should show a united front, because especially with teenagers, because obviously they're very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But would you not say, for example, if your partner in the past did something wrong, like, would you not tell them that, you shouldn't be doing that because, one, you're better than that, and I think higher of you than that, and maybe it doesn't come across too well. I would have done it in private. I would have definitely brought it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing which it shouldn't have been in public in front of them because
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
Mhm.
and if it was, maybe to not do it in such a way that she did, like maybe be a bit more tactful of what she's saying and trying to, get from him, I suppose.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
maybe it's because her daughter was quiet in embarrassment. You don't want to see your children upset either, right? So
Yeah. But I mean, saying something not to stoop down to her level. So you're putting your daughter
right,
down,
yeah, you're
but you're also
Mm.
defending her. Like it's almost derogatory in a sense. Like, I'm going to defend her because obviously she's my daughter, but she was in the wrong. And,
Yeah.
so.
The more I read it, that's a mean thing to say. My initial reaction was that he's hurt, and like that's what his
Mhm.
response is. But nah, I'm feeling it. I'm with you on that one. Like that is a mean thing to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
He's just hurt. People, when they're hurt, they get defensive. They say stupid
Of
things.
course.
So forgivable. Yes, I think like the update that he did, like when he's reached out to her and kind of try to make things better. That's a good start, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I'm happy that they've kind of moved on for it. They've hugged each other, start
Yeah.
to cry. I just find it so weird. Like he's been in her life from the beginning. So in her eyes, that she is her dad. Unless that dynamic is where like he has his own children and he treats them differently. It depends how he's treated her. Like, I think that could be another thing that we don't know about.
That we don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure if you go down in like the thing below, I'm sure people are asking that question. But I think this is yeah. It's like, I feel like I could be in her shoes. I feel like anybody could be in her shoes at that point. Cause it's like, okay, he pissed me off. So what is the one thing that I can say to him that is just going to like show him that I'm angry?
Right.
And of course you take that like low blow, one that is going to hurt him.
Yeah.
And here we are. So
I mean, if we're really digging into this, right? So, and he says, I just replied, I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years. And as long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules. I don't know, like, I don't know. That's a really strong response to that as well.
It is. Yeah. Like, it makes me think like he's a very like cut and dry, like black and white, like, this is how I want you to be, yada, yada. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think if you have a teenager, the first thing you have to understand is that does not exist. I mean, we've all been there. We know exactly what it's like to be that age.
So yeah, I think some context about the relationship before is very important because maybe he didn't behave like a father. Maybe he was just there in the house and like he didn't really do the things that fathers do, like take care of their daughter, etc.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's upset by this, it kind of indicates that he obviously does care, because if he wasn't upset by it, then it would be like, oh, it doesn't matter to me whatsoever. Like, go live your life. So
I figured I would pick that one because it was definitely not a very like cut and dry, like, is it or isn't it type of thing, So
that's a really good post to start off with, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Gray all over. There's no black and white in this one. I think, yeah.
Exactly. I think everybody can have very strong opinions on it too, because I'm sure there are some people that are 100 going to be like, yeah, he was in the right, and then she was in the right, and I think we're both just like neither of them, but kind of both of them.
Yeah, I'm with you. We've seen this from both sides, and it's not very clear cut. But kind of curious, what do the comments think about this? Are they on the same wavelengths as we are?
So like, there's this one comment, not the asshole, great joke. Daughter is old enough to know what she said and how she said it. It was meant to be hurtful. She did it to get a reaction. OP chose to politely tell her how the world works and then decided to make a joke of it instead of being a dick and writing her off like many people would have. Good job. I
would agree with that comment up to the point where he made the joke. So the way he dealt with it was okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that 2 days he's been holding on to it for 2 days. That's a long time to kind of hold something like that. It just shows that it really hurt him. And maybe the daughter realized when he said that he's hurting as well.
Well, and I think like there's one down here that says, I would say that you are only wrong because you never reaffirmed that you are her real dad. Because if you think about it, he only said it once
Ah,
and then never really said it again, especially after saying the joke, unless he did and he forgot to add it in. But it's like,
right, for sure. That's a good point. That's a good point. Instead of saying, I'm your legal guardian, like, imagine if your parent said to you, I'm not your parent, I'm your legal guardian. It's like, okay, that's a really half-assed thing to say. You're only doing this because you have to do it rather than you want to do it.
exactly. Yep.
It's a very, very, it's a big, I mean, every parent is a legal guardian, I suppose, but not every legal guardian is a parent. So that's the issue there.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
hopefully they learn from this and they're in a much better position. But that was a very solid first post there.
Yeah, I figured. All right. So we have a second one. Shall I read it to you?
Sure.
Okay. So this one was posted by user 8937 Apple 17 days ago. I'm going to assume most of these are done on throwaway accounts. So if you go back and look at them, there's usually nothing else posted. And it's because sometimes the things that they post are not,
They don't want to be associated with that.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
so, okay. This one says, I have a younger sister, or here, am I the asshole for tricking my copycat sister to cut her hair? I actually remember reading this one and being like, wow, this is kind of crazy. All right. So I have a younger sister who looks exactly like me. I'm 19 and she is 16, but people have been mistaking us as twins for some time because of how close we resemble each other. We have same height, same skin tone, similar voice even. She also has a habit of being a copycat. From way of dressing to hobbies, even piercings. I know it's cute if you look at it from the outside, sisters dressing and looking so alike that they are spitting images of each other. Honestly, though, it's annoying and creeps me out sometimes. Like, yeah, we are quite close too, but why does she always happen to pick up everything I pick up? I have been asking her to stop that, but she always insists that she really just finds it suiting her liking, that she just had to try it herself by getting similar, if not identical things that I have. One afternoon, I was tidying up some costumes in my college showroom and found a rather cute brown and pink wig. Looks like a mushroom. I put it on. Think it looks rather funny, so I snapped a picture of it and posted it on Instagram. I received a text from my sister asking if I really cut my hair. I did not mention it was a wig. The asshole part is, while I somewhat have a feeling that she might copy that too, I lied and replied, yes, I want a change of style. I went home when weekends came, and lo and behold, my sister emerged with some silly brown and pink bob cut, except this one is her permanent hair. She was very surprised that I arrived with my hair still long, then realized that I lied to her. She was furious about it. She was furious that she had to cut that silly hairstyle because she thought I had it. But truth be told, I never asked her to. She should have seen it in my picture that the hairstyle looked super silly, and yet she still tried to cut her hair that way. Our parents think it was a really bad joke and wanted me to cut my hair too to make it up to her. I wonder, why did they not stop her in the first place? While I feel sorry for her, I am somewhat glad at least she won't be able to copy my hairstyle now with her hair so short, so I'm keeping my hair long.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Oh, sisters.
So my initial thoughts are like, I don't think that she should have done it because she knows that her sister would copy her. Does it really offend her that this happens, or is it just annoying?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with like having someone look up to you and want to be like you. In fact, like it shows that you're a role model.
Yeah.
And like there's loads of psychological theories suggesting that we learn by imitating others, and then if the imitation goes well and it's well received, then we'll learn to imitate them even more. So it's like a massive loop that it just keeps going on and on and on. Clearly, like the older sister's style is something which is really working out for both of them because she's copied it and then she's getting loads of compliments and stuff.
Yep.
But also she's 16, and surely at that age, you know, if something looks horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very interesting dynamic there.
For me, so on the post it says everybody thinks that she's not the asshole. I think that she is. I I believe that she did it 100% knowing that her sister was going to copy exactly what she did. And she can't say, I find it hard to believe that she thinks that that she says that she didn't know that she was going to, or that she didn't think she was going to. It's like, you just gave us 5 paragraphs about how she literally copies every single thing that you do. And so you essentially played a joke on her and knew that she was going to do it. And now you're upset that people are upset with you, but you're kind of the asshole in this. Like, if you're going to do something, at least own up to it. You put it out there. You knew that she was gonna copy it. And so live with it, apologize, and move on. I don't know.
The other thing is, like, I bet that post had like loads of likes and upvotes and stuff like that. And that was oh, if my sister's getting lots of likes for putting her hair like this, maybe I can do that. So maybe it's not even like her sister's reinforcement; it's everyone else's reinforcement as well.
Definitely.
And I don't know, at 16 years old, surely you should be able to think for yourself as well at that age that you should be able to see that this doesn't look good. It's a good lesson for her. I mean, first of all, I think in the long term it would help her, but the intentions of the sister, where she knows exactly what she's doing, they are malicious. They are malicious. So I have a question for you, Ginge. If you were this person, what would you have done? How would you have tried to resolve this situation?
Boy, I mean, I think, yep. So if I was the oldest sister in this one, I honestly, at this point, I would hope that I would realize that what I did was maybe not the best thing, and I would apologize. I would apologize and try to get on a level with her and just kind of talk to her about why it happened and why I did it, because obviously she, it's something is upsetting me. Either I feel like she is trying to become me, or she's trying to get to something of mine or something. Because I feel like that's kind of what's happening here. Like, she feels like she is trying to take something from her. And I suppose that's her identity or something. But at the end of the day, it's obviously just a sister looking up to a sister and wanting to be like her. She's obviously she's good at what she does. She's being successful in some way. And so, I think that is where she is wanting to kind of, replicate and be like her. And so I think I would just kind of sit down and one, apologize and try to get on like a level with her and try to understand why she feels the need to be like me. What's going on inside of your head that you can't have your own identity, and you need to try to take mine to make yourself feel better,
Right, that's interesting. So if I put myself in the shoes of the older sister, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Because it's a sibling, I can see it being annoying. But if people in general are just doing what you do because they look up to you, that's a good feeling, right? That's like something which you should be proud of, maybe. Because it's a sister, it's a different dynamic. Because if she copies her, then people will just assume that they're the same, and then they'll get them mixed up. And I think the fact that they're mixed up a lot, I think that's what pisses her off in particular. Yep. Because like you said, people have just mistaken us as twins, where she's her own person, she's making the decisions, and then there's just a copycat behind her. I understand why that annoys her, but what you said about like kind of figuring out why that's the case, like why is she doing it, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That is the key point here, how to resolve this situation. So instead of doing this before she did it, she should have probably maybe like try to figure it out. Maybe she has, and maybe she still does it. So that's something like, we never ever get the 100% thing here. But.
Yeah. Well, and then I wonder, are the parents aware of this? I mean, obviously they know about the haircut and everything, but do they realize how kind of deep it goes? Has anybody talked to the parents to try to see if they can have a chat with the sister and be like, and try to explain to her why it's not good what she's doing,
Yeah.
I can speak from experience. I have 3 older sisters. I'm the youngest, and the middle sister, or the youngest of the oldest, when I was probably about the same age, I used to go into her closet and I would take some clothes and stuff like that, because I liked the clothes that she wore. And, we weren't very well off. And so I always got the hand-me-downs, but she had a job and she would buy her own clothes and stuff like that. And, I remember one day she saw a picture, I think, that I had posted up on MySpace. It's showing my age a little bit.
I love that. In the UK, no one really used MySpace, but we use Bebo. If I don't know, the UK.
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I'll show it to you sometime.
Okay. But I posted up a photo in it, and I remember it was this brown shirt, and it was like a retro like design on it, and I like super loved it. And she called me out. She came into the room and she took it back, and she was like, "Why did you take my stuff? Why are you taking my stuff? And why are you just always trying to be like me?" And like I said, for me, it was like, I looked up to her. She was going somewhere in her life, and at that point, I think she had already graduated high school. She was in college and like all this stuff. And, here I was, this, 16-year-old girl who, didn't know what the heck was going on with life and everything. And so I just latched on to somebody that I wanted to be like, and I kind of think that that's what's going on here. But I do think that the oldest sister is not in the right in what she did. I think there are definitely better ways to go about what she did to not make her sister feel like a complete, because I'm sure her sister probably felt like complete trash after that.
Yeah, so the good thing you mentioned is like the age difference. So at the age of 16, like you're not an adult. You don't have there's a big kind of freedom difference between 16 and 19. At 19, she's probably allowed to go out and do whatever the hell she wants. Maybe her curfew's later and stuff like that. So also like when I was 16, I used to have a lot of older friends and, I used to hang out with them because I thought it would make me cooler. So, I kind of completely see where she's coming from in that way. She probably is very easily influenced. If I was her parents, I would tell her to stay away from people who do drugs.
Exactly.
I see her point of view. Are the parents assholes, Ginge, do you think?
It's hard for me. I feel like they should have intervened a long time ago. Again, we don't know the backstory. I feel like they probably know exactly what's going on, because as parents, I think you would see if your two children are trying to be exactly alike, especially if they're so different in age. So I feel like they should have intervened some time ago to make something like this not happen. Because I feel like at that age, you're so emotionally unstable that something like this, I mean, that's a drastic like change, especially for hair. You're telling me your hair is brown and pink and it's like a bob. You know what I mean? So now I'm assuming she's probably getting kind of, heckled at school and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I feel like they should step in.
Cruel. It is cruel. The way now you put it, like 16 years old, and I don't know, in UK it's like secondary school, and then like, that would hurt. That would definitely sting, and that's the age group where you care about what people think about you a lot more.
If you're any sort of bit different, and I mean, I don't know if it's different than when I was, in school, but it's like if you're any different from everybody else, people will make fun of you and they'll bully you and everything. And it's like, I feel like this is something that would cause something like that to happen. And that's scary. Like that makes me feel so bad for her.
Sure. Now, are the parents correct in suggesting to her to cut her own hair to make up? But that's something which I think was like, okay, that's a bit too far. Like,
I can see where they're coming from 100%, but I don't agree with it. I wouldn't be like, yeah, she looks like trash, so you need to look like trash too. Like, I'm not saying that that's what they're saying or anything like that, but it's like, I don't see how that fixes anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not teaching anyone anything, but like, I think they are. I think they are saying to her, because you made her this way, you be that way too. I don't like that. I think there's better parenting methods out there.
Sit down and just have a good conversation with them about why you shouldn't be doing this. Especially she's in college at this point. So it's like, I feel like you should know a little bit better, and you should be just a hair more mature to know that maybe that's not the correct way to go about things. So, they're
not living together because obviously she saw it on Instagram. So why would it bother her? Because no one's mistaking her in college for her sister, because her sister doesn't go to college. You know what? There's some good detective work we've got going on. I'm really proud of us. And also, I think if the parents said to her, you should cut your hair to make it look like her, surely they're reinforcing the same underlying issue here, that there is they're too similar. That clearly bothers the older one. So yeah, bad parents, bad
Definitely.
parenting.
Yeah.
I'm not judging them because they may be good people, but yeah, bad
That's
parenting.
yeah, definitely. I definitely don't agree with the not the asshole tag. I think honestly, I would kind of say equally in this one, just given the past and everything like that. But I don't think I don't think that she's free of being an asshole.
Yeah, that's a very good post as well, man. Ginger's picked some bangers out here. I'm a big fan.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I just, I find this subreddit to be very thought provoking. There are some very, very deep posts on it. It's not all just kind of like funny things like what we've done. There's some pretty like there's some ones that will kind of make you question a lot in your life.
Yeah,
And there are some that are sad. There are some that are hilarious. There are some that are just very cringeworthy. So
yeah. I think we'll have a good mixture over time, and that's what will make it fun, right? So,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. It's I'm really enjoying this already.
Let me look through the comments and see down here. So, I mean, the top one with 27.9 thousand points, not the asshole, not your fault if she did it, especially if she claims she isn't copying you and it is just a coincidence. Your parents should know better than to say you should cut your hair. I don't know.
So, I mean, the second part of that is correct. I think your
Yeah,
parents
yeah,
should know better than cut your hair. I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe everyone just skim reads it. You know, we look at this with like a magnifying glass right now.
yeah, yeah,
We figured out she's in college. They're far away, and you know, there's. We talked about different sister situations
yeah.
and what it's like to learn. So
Well,
interesting that we disagree.
and then there's this person, your lie was a bit of an asshole move. No, it wasn't. OP's sister is 16, not 6, not the asshole. But I think people are forgetting that the oldest sister is in college and she is more mature. And yes, OP's sister is 16 and not 6, but if you look at somebody who is 16 to somebody who's 6 years old, and please nobody take offense to this, emotionally, realistically, there's not much of a difference in the
Right.
sense of how you can perceive things and how you react. Everything is a very like split decision reaction. There's no like, okay, let me sit back for a second and really think about how this is going to affect me for the rest of my life type of thing. You know what I mean? I feel like your decision making at 16 years old, while yes, obviously you're not 6 years old, it's not as good as it would be as somebody who say is 19 or 20 years old.
You've been exposed to the bad world at 16.
Mhm.
You know that there are things out there and people out there who aren't genuine, people who go out to hurt each other.
Mhm.
I agree. I agree.
It's this one is a hard one. I think for me it's like because I've kind of been in the same situation with wanting to be like my sister. It wasn't me trying to just take her life and be like her. It was more so I was after somebody who had what I perceived as a very successful
Yeah.
life in what she was doing, and I just wanted to look like her and be like her because obviously it was working for her, so it'll work for me.
Yeah, there's two aspects. One, they're a good role model because they're being successful, and two, because you see yourself in them, because they literally share the same genetics as you. You think that it's very much achievable for you to do that. So, completely understandable. Honestly, I'm scrolling through these comments now because like I've seen the post. People are so emotionally invested into this.
They really
And
are.
that's the brilliance of this. Like everyone is like living the moment of these stories, which is amazing.
I think what's really crazy is almost every single person agrees that she's not the asshole in this.
Right. I just think that maybe they can't put themselves in the situation like we
Yeah.
have. Like when you've explained it as a sister, and I can relate. I'm an only child, but I can relate to the fact, that I had older friends, and I just wanted to be older at that
Mhm.
age. And yeah, they would like some type of music, and I would pretend to like it, and then I'd eventually like it, but like it's only because of them I listened to that music and things like that. So
Yep, yep.
I
I
wouldn't
I
have made it. I wouldn't have made it so blatant that I'm copying them, but I would be
yeah,
copying them. So yeah,
but I think too, it's like I think that the older sister should have taken a step back and been like, why is she copying me? What is it about me that she is trying to be like? Maybe I can help her and make her
right,
understand that she doesn't need to be like me in order to get to whatever she's trying to get to.
yeah.
Um,
Do you think the 19-year-old? I think I could have probably figured that out at 19. I don't know.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah,
I think I could have actually. I
yeah,
think I could have realized that because yeah. I'm trying to think like at 19, was I emotionally mature enough to figure out that someone else is doing this for reasons which they're not necessarily saying or things which aren't necessarily clear to the visible eye.
definitely. And I think realistically at that point you should be able to take a step back and and realize that. But then again, because we don't know the full story, how is the home life? How was growing up? Were they close? Were they not close? Was she one of those older sisters that treated her younger sister like trash? And you know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
is she trying to be like her because she's been conditioned to think that being like her sister is the way to be? Or, what
Right.
I mean?
Oh yeah, so that's a really good point. Maybe like her older sister was like kind of insulting everything that she did, and then
Mhm.
a way to stop that was just to copy her because if she insulted her, she'd be insulting herself. So
Exactly.
yeah, we're getting really deep here. And to user 8937 Apple who posted this, you know what? Give us a follow up. Let's ask you the questions.
Yeah, and the thing is people are down there. They're like, "Can you give us an update, please? We want to know like what's going on. Like, what
Right,
have
right.
what is your thing in this? So
You know what would be cool? Cool down the line, maybe like if there's like a post or something. Maybe we can even get people here with their stories, which not necessarily a
mm,
post, right? And then we
yeah,
can ask them about it, and then we can question them about it because that would be pretty
that
interesting.
would be neat. Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is your story. Why don't you tell us about it?
But I hate to break it to you, but you are an asshole.
But go ahead and tell me why you think that you're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a really good post.
Alrighty, so we'll do one more. So this one was posted about 7 days ago by user Fender Score. And it is, am I the asshole for leaving a repairman a bad review for flirting with my wife?
I love it already.
Okay. The air conditioner broke last week while I was out of town, and my wife had to call an emergency technician in the middle of the night. This already sounds like the beginning of something. I don't know.
I know.
All right. A company we'd used before without issues sent a guy over. He fixed the air conditioner, no problem. But once he'd left, I woke up to a million missed texts and calls from my wife, who was hysterical. Apparently, within minutes of showing up, he made comments about her body and other suggestive statements. She made it clear she wasn't interested without being outright rude because she didn't want him to get mad and leave without fixing the air conditioner. The tech kept trying to put moves on her. Then, after he'd fixed the AC, he didn't leave right away, trying to feed her some lines about how she seemed to be home alone and he could spend the night to make sure she was safe. Eventually, he realized he was driving down a dead end road and left. But the whole thing just really freaked her out, having some guy in the house who didn't leave when asked and everything. I was pissed to hear about all of this, and she was shaken up by the incident, so we left a review on their Google and Yelp pages saying what had happened. The company is pretty small, so the owner called me to apologize a couple days later and said the tech had a few drinks that night, not expecting to be called out to an emergency job, and that his sense of humor had clearly been misinterpreted by my wife. He asked me to take my review down because it called the tech out by first name, and apparently a review saying he was coming onto a female customer could cause some personal problems for the guy. The owner also reasoned that the business was an air conditioner repair business, not a bedside manner business, and that they did fix the air conditioners, so deserved a higher rating. I told them our review stands, and they basically said we were the assholes for threatening the reputation of their business and the personal reputation of the tech over a single misunderstanding. On the one hand, they did fix the air conditioner, and that's what we called them to do. On the other hand, I feel like this is relevant information for people considering hiring them, even if it was a one-time thing. Am I the asshole?
Oh my god, this is a clear one for me. They are not the arse of the other parties. Also, something he had a few drinks that night. Why did he drive there? First of
Exactly.
all, that is, and their argument is that he fixed the air conditioner. He's drunk. He is drunk. You do not drink at work unless you're a
Exactly.
bartender, maybe, and that is absolutely unacceptable in every single way.
Like, so I'm thinking obviously as a woman, and I'm like, okay. So I was kind of in this position at one point, and Josh was away on training up in like Missouri, so he was gone, and we were in one of our old apartments, and I was cleaning some laundry. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and the hot water hose popped off the back of the washer. And so there was hot water just being pumped into my apartment. And like when I tell you it was being pumped in, everything was flooded. And so I had to call in the handyman and everything like that. And it was a man, and he came in, and granted, he did not do anything of the sort like that, which I'm very thankful for. I can understand being a little uncomfortable and everything like that. And I kind of feel bad for her, because even if like he hadn't come on to her, she probably would have been a little uneasy anyway. And then you throw on top of that, like I would have been so afraid that I was going to be like taken advantage of or something, especially with him continuously like putting down these lines and stuff like that. I probably would have asked them to leave. And I mean, yeah.
The fact that he said, "I want to spend the night to make sure you're safe," like, wow. Oh my God, that is so spooky. At what point is it too far, Ginge? Like, and also, just for those that you don't know, Josh is Ginge's hubby. So that puts it into a bit of context. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Honestly, I would say like most human beings are flirtatious. It's just kind of a way that you interact with other humans. I mean, it's what I've always noticed. I've also worked in sales for most of my life, and it's just kind of people can mistake being flirtatious or being like nice and friendly as being flirtatious. But here with him complimenting her body and stuff like that, I don't think there's any question as to what he realistically was after. And like you had said, he'd had a few drinks that night. And I think honestly, the second he started complimenting her body and stuff like that, that's too far for me.
Hey, do you work out? Do you work out? Nice body.
Got a nice body. Yeah, no, I probably would have asked him to leave. Honestly, at that point, I would have sucked it up and been without an air conditioner for the night, and promptly called the company the next day, told them my issues, and I would have asked them to send somebody else out, and that's that. I don't necessarily though agree with leaving the review the way that they did. I think what they should have done is called the company first and put in an actual formal complaint. Because to me, leaving a review like that just sort of seems like, well, okay, so maybe he didn't do a good job and you're just pissed off about it. You know what I mean? I feel like they definitely should have first called the company, spoken to the owner about it. I don't think they should have had to pay for the AC getting fixed after that, personally. And then leave a review on it, but don't include first names. I think that's a little too far.
Right. So here's another scenario. Okay. The guy's drunk, and we've said, okay, he shouldn't be working if he's drunk. But maybe because it is the middle of the night, right? Maybe it's an out call. Maybe it's like a special situation where he's gone out of his way to come over, and we don't know that information. That does not make hitting on her okay, but that might explain the drinking. Like,
but the thing with this is most people know that if you're on call, you don't drink. And I'm assuming he was on call that night. So I feel like he knew that he should not be drinking. And so like when I said that they shouldn't have left a review or whatever, like they should have, but I just don't agree with calling him out by his first name. That's something I don't agree with, because whether or not he did it, that's fine. But the thing is it's hearsay at this point. So now you're defaming somebody on somewhere that is going to help them get work or whatever it might be, when in reality, he could have literally just looked at her and she felt like he was, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
that's kind of where the gray comes for me. You know what I mean? I feel like they were completely justified for leaving the review, but I think that they should have left a name out of it and simply just said one of the workers came out, did this, constantly, made my wife feel uncomfortable with the things that he was saying to her, being suggestive, he had drank, yada, yada. And then I think that would have been a bit more okay and acceptable, in my opinion.
Right. So if he did put the name of that person there, then like, if it's not true, it could be slander as well, right? So
he could realistically get sued for that, and
yeah.
I think, you know, I don't think he cares about that. And I wouldn't care about that either. I'm sure Josh would probably go ham on a review in a heartbeat if something like that happened. But just kind of like taking a step back, being, a third person here and just reading this, like that is the only problem that I have with this is calling the tech out by the first name in the review. I don't think that that is the right thing to do. And again, I don't agree with the fact that they put up this review first without talking to the owner when this is pretty serious. I mean, he went to a job drunk and then hit on a woman whose husband wasn't there. Nobody was there to protect her. What if he had raped her? What if, something like that had happened? So,
yeah. That is very scary. So hypothetical scenario, if she was single, in my opinion, I don't think it would have still been okay, but this have been more acceptable?
No, not at all. No. Unless she was the one that came on to him first, I don't agree with it at all. He was not in the right in any way whatsoever. So
right.
Yeah.
But for example, what happens if he just tried? Like, is that? I still think that's unprofessional. But people have to meet somehow. So
yeah,
I don't know.
If she was single, I mean, I feel like maybe being a bit more tactful with the way that you're being, like, hey, because you're doing your job, especially when it's something in a home like a plumber, an electrician, or something like that. The homeowner or whatever is trusting you to go into their home, is trusting you to fix what's wrong and stuff like that. And then you throw in that, and that just kind of takes it to a very uncomfortable kind of thing. You know what I mean? So
in the context of night as well, I think that makes it a bit more
100%.
like, yeah. So I see you, I hear you 100%. I don't think it is acceptable. But maybe you're right. If like the woman is kind of leading him on, then like go for it. If that happens, maybe. But in this situation where she's clearly scared in the middle of the night, and the only thing on her mind is to like fix the thing so she could sleep and stuff like that.
Yeah, because our air conditioner just broke and it was randomly leaking water. I didn't know air conditioners could do that. I didn't even know air conditioners hooked up to water. That's like a whole new thing to me. Like it wasn't flooded, but it was very moist on the carpet. So maybe that's what it was, and that's why they had to get it fixed that night. You know what I mean? I think the technician is the asshole, and these guys are not the asshole. The only thing that I don't agree with is posting the guy's first name on the review.
Sure,
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah. I know. I'm with you. Cool. So what are the comments saying? I'm pretty sure everyone disagrees that these guys are not the asshole, right?
Yeah, I assume so.
Right. So would you have fired him? Because I would have fired him straight away.
I don't. If I own a business and one of my employees goes out and makes somebody feel uncomfortable on that level, I don't want them to be a part of my company at all.
It seems here that they're kind of making excuses for him, though. Like, oh, you misinterpreted the jokes, which is like the wrong thing to say from the company.
I'm gonna go with, I bet you it's an older man who comes from a very different kind of generation, and unfortunately they don't understand the ramifications of things like that, especially for a woman who is home alone. Like, I don't know if people just sort of want like porn things to happen, like, oh, he's going in there and her husband's not there, and this, and it's like, no, that's not how actual life works. Like
This is pretty interesting. So if I read this, it says, I'll read it again, just put some like magnifying glass over it because we're detectives, right? The owner called me to apologize a couple of days later and said the tech had a few drinks that night, not expecting to be called out on an emergency job. So maybe it's a very rare thing, but still, if you're getting paid to be on call, then you should be on call, right?
Yep.
So, and then he said that his sense of humor had clearly been misinterpreted by my wife.
No.
So they have not fired him from the sounds of that.
No, probably not. Nope.
That would be infuriating. Like, that's when I would lose my shit. Like,
I feel like at that point, that's when I would put up a review of like, hey, this is what happened. After talking, because the thing is when you have an issue, you contact that company to have that issue resolved. From what it looks like, they never actually contacted them. They simply just put up a review. And for something as serious as this, I totally 100% think that they should have contacted the company first, so that way the company could do whatever they needed to do, and then left a review and then, changed it later on or whatever it might be. But that situation, kind of like that disconnect right there, that's something that I'm having a very hard time with. Like, why wouldn't you call the company and let them know that one of their employees is making people uncomfortable, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, that company, that's such a bad PR move from them, from like that perspective as well. If that's not the way you deal with sexual harassment claims, right? Like, especially nowadays in 2020, when there's so many stories coming out left, right, and center, and it has a massive magnifying glass on it, and people are looking for these things as well. So that's such a dumb business move on his part. Like, if I was the owner, I'd have been like, okay, look, I'm terribly sorry. Tell me exactly what he said, and we will investigate this. And then I would speak to him after investigating it, and then say, either he accepts it. If he accepts it, then ta-ra. If he denies it, then that's kind of like, how would you prove it? But
yeah, and I
that's
mean,
the other thing. Like, how are they going to prove that he said that? There's one word against the other. So, but he was drunk, so it is possible.
and to get into that deeper, that is why, like, sexual assault claims, especially in our country, are so difficult, because it is a very he said, she said thing. And if there is no proof of it, nobody takes it seriously, which is sad, because unfortunately, it goes both ways, both men to women and women to men. It's like, if there isn't something physical that people can prove, it's just that, oh, well, they were just joking, or you mistook it, but it's like, it doesn't negate the fact that it made me feel uncomfortable.
Given the Me Too movement and the things that like have happened, shit like this should not have the way the company dealt with it is really upsetting me. That's like really not okay.
You're literally telling a victim at this point that she just misinterpreted the way that things happen. It's like, that's a no for me, but okay.
Yeah, all the evidence, like, oh, he's drunk, but it's okay. Like, I mean, he's drunk. That's not an excuse either. Like, if you're drunk, you shouldn't be working. Like, you shouldn't be working.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't be fucking driving, man. That's the annoying thing, like, as well. I don't know, but in England, like, if you get caught drink driving, it ruins your life. Like,
it's the same every time.
Is it very strict, or are they like, do DUIs kind of like go under the cover?
No, DUIs are horrible here. A lot of times you actually have to have a breathalyzer in your car to be able to start your vehicle, to make sure that you can actually drive and that you can drink. Oh yeah, the problem here is so many people die every year from drunk driving. Either the person that's drunk driving or them hitting somebody else. So it's a very bad issue in our country.
Okay, so final verdict on this, Ginge. Are you saying that we're saying that the guy was an arsehole, the company's an arsehole?
Yep.
And the post is acceptable up to the point where they put his name, where that's like kind of the gray area. Yep. And I'm very much with you on that, and I'm pretty sure we agree on it. So that's a very interesting story, It's, they could definitely make, like, I can see like a documentary happening on there.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Okay, brilliant. So that's 3 posts that we've discussed, and I think that's a good point to kind of wrap things up. I actually had so much fun.
I did too.
Like, it's always interesting to 2 brains are always better than one, no matter what anyone says. Like, on our own, we can't see things from other perspectives, right? So, like, when Ginge said to me, for example, I had 2 older sisters and I can relate to this, I wouldn't have been able to relate to that unless she said that to me, because I'm an only child, for example. So there's different views of life, etc., and things which makes this Reddit great, and hopefully which will make this podcast great in the future as well.
And I honestly look forward to bringing like guests on and stuff like that, and kind of, because for us, like, it's easy kind of talking back and forth, but then bringing in a third person could like really throw some craziness into it. So I'm kind of excited to see how that'll work out in the future.
For sure. And as this was the first episode, maybe we weren't as organized as we could be, or there's some other things which you think that we could improve on. Let us know. Give us the feedback. Feedback is always key. And also, if you did enjoy it, the best way to kind of help out a podcast is a personal recommendation to someone else. So if you could do that, that'd be amazing. But yeah, no expectations whatsoever. We're just happy that you're listening. And thank you very much for that.
Well, I guess that'll do it for this one then.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ginge. Thank you for being amazing as always.
You too.
Goodbye for us. And I don't know, let's make up a tagline. Like, like they say at the end of the podcast, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, don't be an asshole. Bye, guys.
We'll see you next time.